Hey, Jeannie.
Hi. Trying to continue with the plaque.
Just waiting for Amy to get the live stream set up. All right, so we are live. So welcome to the August 13th City Council meeting for Citrus Heights. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with the flag salute. So if you're anywhere where you can stand and join me, that would be great. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Ms. Van, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Present.
Councilmember Daniels,
Here.
Councilmember Middleton,
Present.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Here.
and Mayor Slowey.
Present. Thank you. If you could read the video statement, please.
This meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at citrusheights.net. Tonight's meeting replays on Monday, August 17th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14.
Thank you. All right, next item is approval of the agenda. Anybody have any issues or concerned? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
Have a motion by Bruin, second by Middleton. Amy, roll, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Thank you. All right, presentations. We have one. We have a proclamation of the city recognizing City Engineer Stuart Hodgkins, soon to be retired City Engineer Stuart Hodgkins. So Stu and I share a common birthday, maybe not the same year, but the same day. So we always chuckle each year. Have this wonderful proclamation that we have spared no expense on, Stuart. So here it is. I'll read it to you. You're going to have to come by and pick it up. We don't provide delivery service here. So,
Shucks.
I know. So I'm not going to read all of it because I don't want your head to get too big, but there's quite a few good little snippets in here, so I am going to read a few of them. Whereas Stuart Hodgkins began his career with the recently incorporated City of Citrus Heights in 2002 as senior civil engineer. During his tenure with the city, Stuart has served as senior civil engineer, principal civil engineer, and was appointed to the position of city engineer in 2018. Stuart was instrumental in the creation and implementation of the city's first ever Complete Streets program, leading the development and implementation of complete street improvements on Antelope Road, Sunrise Boulevard, and significantly influencing the impact on Greenback Lane, San Juan Avenue, and Auburn. So whatever you influenced, it did not decrease the traffic, Mr. Hodgkins. Just you know, would have liked to see that as well, but that's for another day. Stuart played a crucial role in the redevelopment throughout the city of Citrus Heights, including new retail, office, residential developments, as well as the Stock Ranch Nature Preserve, and more recently, the Mitchell Farms subdivision and Sunrise Tomorrow specific plan. Stuart has committed to working collaboratively with all city departments, identifying strategies, to solve long-standing issues for the betterment of the overall Citrus Heights community. Stuart has distinguished himself as perceptive, inclusive, loyal, and passionate, a conscientious, dedicated public servant, and staunch community advocate. His innumerable contributions, his tempered administration of community transportation challenges, and creative solutions and invaluable guidance significantly and permanently enhanced the evolution and expansion of the city as we now know it. Whereas Stuart's heartfelt commitment to helping others advance in whatever path they may be, his sincere caring about his coworkers, no matter how connected, his interest in the lives and aspirations of his colleagues and community members, and his dedication to the collaborative improvement of all of those he is involved in, will forever remain the truest testament to his character, integrity, and spirit of goodwill, and after all is said and done, will be his greatest legacy. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Citrus Heights does hereby commend Stuart Hodgins for his many contributions, steadfast dedication, and exceptional service, extending to him the sincerest gratitude and appreciation for all he has done to the city and this community, and all of those who live, work, and play and travel throughout the city. And we've all signed it, no little smiley faces or anything. So Stuart, we all work to the point where we would like to retire. So I commend you on that. I guess officially, this is your last council meeting. So kudos to a job well done, and we might even be able to figure out how to get it delivered to you if you can't drive in. So any other council members like to say a word or two to Mr. Hodgkins?
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Stu, congratulations on your retirement. As the city engineer, you always solved problems we never quite knew we had. And you did it in a way that we never quite understood. But for that, I thank you. And like I said, wish you well and enjoy your time. You've earned it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll say a couple words.
Sure.
Hi, Stu.
Hi, Jeannie.
How you doing?
I'm good.
I see a retirement smile on your face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, over the years, gosh, how many projects have we worked together to solve issues for our local citizens in our community? So many.
Maybe.
I just want to thank you for always being responsive, seeing it through, and just your kind demeanor as you deal with people that can be very difficult sometimes. I'm going to miss you. I resent the fact that you retired before me, but I wish you well. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I guess I'll go next.
All right, from your car in LA.
Yes.
Hopefully you're not stuck
Stuart,
in traffic.
Yeah. Stuart, just thank you for everything. Your fingerprints are all over the city. You've been here forever, and we've appreciated it. Citrus Heights is better because of you. And I don't mean that in a light way at all. You've done so much around this city that hopefully someday we can find something to name after you, because you've been a very, very integral part of making us a success, and I really do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Stu, gosh, I echo everything that my colleagues have said. You have been an enormous presence in the city, and I appreciate all the patience and dedication that you've given to the city, and everything that you've done. You've always done it with a level of exemplary just dedication and always doing your best, and I see that in everything you do. I'm really, really sad to see you go, but I know that you're going to be having a lot of great fun, and we're going to miss you a lot.
Thank you, Portia.
Thank you, Portia. Stu, I'll give you a minute if you want to say anything or not. That's up to you. You're retired. You don't have to listen to me anymore. So.
I'm not quite there yet.
Okay, I hear.
I do appreciate it. I thank you, Mayor and council members, for your words. I do want to acknowledge the fact that, I started work in July of 2002, and literally the 1st of July, I beat Kevin by 4 days.
There you go.
Or 3. He started on the 3rd. And I really feel the fact that I was fortunate to take the job with the city at the time. And, I grew with the position. And, the fact that our city, I think, is well managed, and, I was able to continue working and move forward even through downturns and difficult times is a testament to your council as well as the executive team at the city. And I have appreciated every minute working at the city and acknowledged, that I've enjoyed it. There have been ups and downs, no question, in all of our lives, and the way that, life in general, and certainly now it's a challenge as we're sitting in our offices at home doing this. But again, I appreciate it all, and I have enjoyed thoroughly working with my coworkers, the management team in general services for all these years, with Mary, Regina, I'm very happy that Leslie is taking over. The general services engineering division is going to be in great hands moving forward. And, I see Arda Lynn here as well. And Chris Myers, all of us have worked together for a long time. I mean, I joke that as a manager in our department, with one exception of Leslie, I am the least tenured person at the city in general services. Everybody else in management in our department has been there longer than I have. And that's certainly something to be said for the city. And, I love the fact that I've been able to work with all of them for these years, and we have such a tight group. So, I'm very much looking forward to my next chapter, as everybody says, but I certainly will remember every moment working for the city. And thank you for that opportunity.
You're welcome, Stuart. We do wish you luck in your next endeavor, but as you said, you're not quite retired yet, so we still expect a little more work out of you till that day comes, so thank you.
I apologize. There is one more person I need to acknowledge, and that is our current city manager. As I'm scrolling through people on screen here, Chris and Rhonda gave me the opportunity to take this position as the city engineer a couple of years ago. They put their trust in me. I appreciate that very much. Rhonda provided me a lot of guidance, and I truly appreciate, while I don't get to meet with Chris maybe as often as I would like to, I appreciate his steady hand, his candor with guidance on problems and issues that I have had to deal with, periodically. And the way he guides our department has been terrific for the last 2.5 years that I've been serving in this capacity. So, Chris, I appreciate your effort as well. So I wanted to thank you for that.
All right, Stu. Thank you. You have a good rest of your night, unless you've got something on here for later, in which case, please stick around.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Next item, comments by council members and regional board updates. Let's go ahead and start with Portia.
So not much happening. I attended the Sunrise Marketplace board meeting today, along with Jeannie Burns, and we got to hear a bunch of updates about what's going on and how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected our local businesses and what the PBID is doing to help to address that.
Great. Thank you, Portia. Jeannie.
Thank you. Quickly, I've got 3 different things. Regional SAN has not met since our last council meeting, but I'm serving on a subcommittee. We did meet this week. It was our second meeting, and we're looking at the topics of evaluating staffing and support services modeling, studying the possibility of merging regional SAN and Sacramento area sewer district into one agency, and then reviewing the master interagency agreement to potentially add West Sacramento to the agreement. And then I also attended the chamber lunch on Tuesday, virtual lunch, where Michael Corpiel, the CEO of Mercy Salmon Medical Center, spoke. had some really interesting things to share with us. First of all, many of you know that Dignity Health and Catholic Health Initiative have merged and become one, and they are now called Common Spirit Health. They own 142 hospitals and 700 care sites in 21 states, and this merger has made them the largest medical provider in the nation. He talked about some of the changes and expansions that are happening at the hospital, and the important one is the infant ICU unit is being expanded so that parents can stay with their children when they are in that special care until they can go home. And then he did segue into a little bit of information about COVID-19 and its impact on the hospital. He said they have had, since its inception, 209 patients have tested positive for COVID, and 72 of them have been admitted into ICU. He said their count has decreased dramatically recently, and they now have 37 COVID-19 patients in the hospital. Countywide, there have been 177 deaths, and 68% of them have been male. And then, as Portia said, we both attended the Senate Marketplace meeting. I'll just expand a little bit on what she said. First of all, Megan Huber, our Economic Development Director, gave an updated report on the Sunrise Tomorrow project. She noted that Mitchell Ranch is beginning to move forward again. Well, that's good news. And I believe she said that pads are expected to be poured in September around the Arcadia and Fair Oaks Boulevard site. And then there was a report from Officer Jeff Schouten, who's the mall officer, or not the mall officer, he's the Sunrise Marketplace officer, citing that crime has dropped. I think he said 37% substantially recently in the marketplace, and in large result because they're actively covering up graffiti and getting right on top of it. And they do he and his team do 10 passes every day to every business, and it allows them the ability to address problems very quickly as a result. Also, a report from the marketing team. They're producing a lot of business signs produced by 4 local companies, face masks, and a lot of the success of the drive-in movie series last Saturday. The one this Saturday is being postponed because of the heat. And then Kathy wrapped up with a report on HEART, the homeless area resource team, and said they've been focusing on supplying homeless kids and at-risk kids with school supplies, collaborating a lot with the Sayonara Center. And they've had to expend a lot of funds, so they are appreciating any donations that anybody could make to help them to continue to service the needs of the homeless. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Jeannie. Brett?
Thank you. Just with the closures, just please find ways to help our businesses out locally, get out to the restaurants, grab something, sit on the patio or take it home and whatnot. But the heat is coming, and if you can also at some point get out of town, especially in the later afternoons. And I didn't have a chance to ask Chris this before, but are we going to be opening up the community center at all because of the heat?
We are, but we're going to be taking it as the situation comes at us. We've opened it every heat wave, and we've only usually had 1 or 2 people over a period of many hours. So we're going to be diligent about managing that, and in the morning we'll post what that might look like.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Brett. Mr. Miller? Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Slowey. Monday had a regional transit meeting. Nothing major to report, just had 4 closed session items, and obviously I can't talk about those.
Oh, come on.
Today we had the Sacramento Transportation Authority, and I think the only thing worth note is they're initiating the 10-year review of the existing Measure A. They have to complete that by next June. They're looking at options to allocate the remaining $236 million over the next 20 years. Our very own Regina Cave from General Services is on the working committee for this. And just to recap a little bit, the The original plan showed us getting 25.6 million over the life of Measure A. We've received a total of 7.84 million. We haven't seen anything since 2015. So we're due capital allocations. Some of the confusing things is the money borrowed and the interest paid. And some of the jurisdictions like City of Sacramento have used up their allocations, and now they're arguing that some of their projects really are regional projects, and everyone else should pay for them. So I appreciate Regina taking the bull by the horns on this and looking out for Citrus Heights. Other than that, Will Kempton was appointed when Norm retired, and that was just a temporary assignment. We are beginning the search for replacement and should have someone selected by December. And with that, I'll turn that back over to you, Jeff.
So we're short 18 million on projects that we were promised. So do your due diligence down there, Steve, pound your fist, whatever you need to do, and Regina, just follow up.
I take an extra shoe to pound on the dais.
Appreciate it. All right, so the only meeting I've had has been SACOG. A big topic, at least at the Transportation Committee, it comes back up next week at the full board, but was the issue of competitive bids for awarding the money, or could we get more into a formulaic where, as you all know, every city, county has a 5-year capital plan. Kind of hard to plan things when you don't necessarily know of any additional money coming in. So we had a good discussion on that. At the end of the day, staff did take some of that feedback that the Public Works directors put together, incorporated it into some of the processes going forward to make it better, but there will be no formulaic formula, at least, for divvying up the money at this point. It still has to go to the full board, but I have to say, after listening to the discussion, knowing the blueprint is still not officially approved, it's sitting back in Washington, now probably isn't the time to rock the boat, but I do think it needs to be an ongoing discussion down there. So whoever goes to SACOG in the future needs to stick close to Regina and others and continue on that fight. I didn't think the first time it came up it would be a slam dunk, but like I said, we got some points to make the system better, but I still think there's a lot of room for improvement. So more to come on that. All right, next item is public comment, and this would be public comment not regarding agenda items. I know we have several public comments in for specific agenda items. Amy, do we have any general public comment at this time?
Not any written general public comment.
So let's do this. So we do have, again, this is public comment if you're not talking about a specific agenda item on tonight's agenda. We will use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, and we don't have the ability to go through and see who raised their hand first. So if you would like to talk on the general about anything outside of the agenda, I would encourage members of the public to raise their hand at this point. And then we can take those, and the specific ones for agenda items we'll take at that time. If you don't know how to do it, in the far upper right corner, there's 3 dots, and it says more. If you click on that, it says raise your hand. And we'll give it a moment to see if anybody raises their hand. I'm not seeing anybody, so I'm assuming if you have something to say, it's on an agenda item. So that will conclude general public comment. Next item is our consent calendar, and that is item 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's it. So 5 through 11. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move that we approve consent.
Second.
Bruins makes the motion, Middleton seconds it. Amy, if we could have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. All right, consent calendar passes 5-0. Public hearing. Amy, if you would read the next item, if you could, please.
Public hearing, number 12, the subject is CARES Act Amendment Phase 2 to the 2019 Action Plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution adopting the CARES Act Amendment to the 2019 CDBG Action Plan and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary contracts.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Stephanie Cotter, Community Development Department. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to consider the second and final phase of the CDBG CV funding allocations, which is from the CARES Act, the CDBG portion of the CARES Act. And this public hearing is required as part of the CDBG administrative regulations in order to incorporate the funding allocations, which we refer to as the CARES Act Amendment. A look back at where we've been, this started in March with the CARES Act when it was signed. The city received about $376,000. And these are CDBG CV funds, as I mentioned. We took the emergency funding allocations to you on April 23rd so that we could start incurring expenses for our current CDBG subrecipients. And then on May 28th, we came back and brought the formal amendment for the Phase 1 funding allocations for your consideration, and those were approved. On June 25th, we held a study session to discuss the second phase of the CDBG CV funding allocations in addition to the PLHA application. And then tonight, we're talking about the Phase 2 CDBG CV allocations that we discussed on June 25th. Here's a look at the allocations you've already approved. These are the Phase 1 funding allocations. Sunrise Christian Food Ministry received $30,000. We've received $30,000. Campus Life received almost $16,000. And we also created a supplemental navigator fund, which was $125,000. And we can spend up to about $75,000 in administrative costs. For Phase 2 funding allocations, we're recommending $8,400 to be allocated to the Regional Renters Helpline Program. This is partial funding for temporary staffing that would serve the three cities of Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, and Citrus Heights. It would provide a staff member dedicated to those three cities because they're experiencing a high call volume. And this would help them to keep up with questions about renters with financial hardships and eviction moratorium questions. So the city's portion would be $8,400. And secondly, we're recommending the remainder be allocated to the Great Plates Delivered program. This is a very successful program that is serving a lot of seniors in our area. And this would satisfy the city's local match of 6.25%. So that way the general fund would not have to absorb that cost. So in the event that the Great Plates Delivered program is not eligible, we think at this point it will be. We've received verbal indications that it will be, but we haven't seen anything written yet. But in the event that it's not eligible or that we don't need all of the funds for Great Plates, we would use the remaining CDBG CV funds to distribute to local nonprofits using an RFP process like we do for our annual public service request. So I can answer any questions at this point, or if you would like me to proceed to the recommendation for the public hearing, whatever you prefer.
Quick question. Stephanie, how many seniors have we served with this program today?
So 170 people so far, and they receive 3 meals a day.
Correct. And the other benefit to this program that I don't think, I didn't think of this, is that the restaurants participating get paid to provide these 3 meals, and they're benefiting from this program as well.
That's
Correct.
a really good point. I think there's restaurants, I believe Arvita Loca is one of them, that would have had to lay staff off, but because of this program, they're able to retain staff members. So it is definitely benefiting the businesses in addition to the people it's serving.
How many restaurants? I forget.
6, I believe, are signed up so far.
Cool.
And
Thank you.
Chris Myers is bringing an item on that too, so he'll have some more detailed data for you.
Okay, thanks, Steph.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Stephanie? All right, would you like to go ahead and go to what the recommendation is, and then I'll see if we have any public comment. Stephanie, there we go.
Sorry, you want to start here? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 resolutions, but again, it's a public hearing. Amy, do we have any written public hearing on this item?
Not on this item, no.
So again, we'll go to the folks on the Zoom meeting. Anybody who would like to speak on this, you just need to raise your hand. I'm not seeing anybody, but let me give it another minute.
And if any members are participating from a telephone, they can hit *9 if they wish to raise their hand to speak.
Okay. All right, so I'm not seeing any members of the public who want to speak, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Stephanie, there's 2 resolutions if we want to move this, right? Okay.
The first recommendation was just to hold the public hearing.
Okay.
Sorry if that was
Got it. That makes sense. All right. So what's the pleasure of the council?
So I move that we approve the resolution to adopt the CARES Act amendment to the 2019 CDBG Action Plan, Exhibit A, and authorize city manager to execute all contracts necessary to carry out the CARES Act amendment to the 2019 CDBG Action Plan.
Second.
Bruins makes the motion, Miller makes the second. Roll call, Amy, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Yes.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, Amy.
Next item is number 13. The subject is Landscape Maintenance Assessment District 9701, levy of fiscal year 2021 assessments. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy the assessments.
Good evening. This is Ardalyn Flores with the General Services Department. And tonight we have the first of 2 landscape assessment district items for you to consider. Pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, each year the city must update the assessments for its various landscape maintenance assessment districts. This is the final step needed to update the assessments for fiscal year 2021. Staff recommends that City Council open the public hearing, take action to adopt the resolution to confirm the diagrams and assessments, and to levy fiscal year 2021 assessments for LMAD 9701, zones 1, 2, 3, and 4. The assessment rates for this year are proposed to remain the same as the previous years. So
Great.
I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ardalyn. Any questions on our annual review? All right, this again, public hearing. Any written comments, Amy?
No.
Anybody from the public that wants to raise their hand or hit *9? I'm seeing nobody. Close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move that we adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Heights to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal year 2020 and 2021 assessments for landscape maintenance assessment district number 9701, zones 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
Bruins makes the motion, Miller seconds. Roll call, Amy.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item.
Next item
Next
is,
item,
oh, go ahead. The landscape maintenance assessment districts, and this is for 9801, 9802, and 0301. And for this item, there are 3 resolutions to be adopted to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy the assessments for those landscape maintenance assessment districts.
Great. Marlene, you're back up.
Hi. Yes, this is very similar to the previous item, except it's for 3 other zones. Do you want me to read the whole paragraph one more time?
No, we're good. 9801,
Okay.
9802, and 0301. All right. For the council, there's 3 separate motions. So what's the
And
pleasure?
Mayor, I haven't received any public
Oh,
comment
you're
for
right.
this.
Sorry. Public hearing. No written. Let me look, see if any hands. I apologize. Nobody is excited to talk about this one. Okay. Now, I'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move that we, oops, my page, but hang on a sec. Okay, I move that we approve the resolution of the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal year 2020 and 2021 assessments for landscape maintenance. Assessment district number 9801, Stock Village units numbers 1 and 2.
Second.
Bruins motion, Miller second. Roll call, Amy.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Brett? Brett? Can you hear us?
Oh, he's muted.
You're muting yourself. Unmute.
Aye.
Thank you.
and then Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. I was pulling a Brett. I was just lip syncing.
Okay, then I also move that we, the resolution of the City of Citrus Heights, City Council of the City of Citrus Heights to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal years 2020 and 2021 assessments for landscape maintenance assessment district number 9802, zone 1, Sorensen Ranch, zone 2, Autumnwood, and zone 3, Mariposa Creek.
Second.
Bruins motion, Miller second. Roll call, Amy.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye.
And finally, I move the resolution of the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights, California, to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal year 2020 and 2021 assessments for landscape maintenance assessment districts number 0301, Stock Ranch zones 1 and 2.
Second.
Bruins motion, Miller second. Roll call, Amy.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, Amy.
Next item is our last public hearing, number 15. The subject is Citrus Heights Lighting Assessment District levy of fiscal year 2021 assessments. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal year 2021 assessments for the Citrus Heights Lighting District.
Good evening, Council, Mayor and Council. Leslie Bloomquist, General Services Department. This item is very similar to the previous two. Each year, the city is required to update the assessments for the Citrus Heights Lighting District. At your last meeting, you took the first steps towards the proposed annual update by adopting a resolution initiating proceedings and adopting a resolution for the intention to levy and collect assessments, setting the public hearing for tonight, August 13th. The lighting district includes all parcels in the city and funds the operation and maintenance of all 4,678 street and safety lights. There are no changes recommended to the assessment rates in conjunction with this year's annual update. There are two recommendations regarding the lighting district tonight. The first is to hold a public hearing regarding the proposed annual assessment and to hear public comment regarding the item. Once the hearing is closed, the second item for consideration is to adopt a resolution to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy the fiscal year 2020-2021 assessments for the Citrus Heights Lighting District.
Okay, open the public hearing. Amy, did you receive any written on this particular one?
No.
All right, I'm looking at the attendee list. If anybody wants to speak, raise your hand or use the raise your hand function. If you're on the phone, *9. Not seeing any. I'll close the public hearing. Pleasure of the council.
Might as well round it out. So I move that we approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights, California, to confirm the diagram and assessment and to levy fiscal year 2020-2021 assessments.
Babe, I'm at a meeting.
For the Citrus Heights Lighting Assessment District.
So Brett, you're not on mute. But that's all right. We'll get there. So
Second.
Bruins had a motion. Did we get a second? I'm sorry. Portia, was that you?
That was
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Middleton, second. Go ahead and roll, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Again, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Artelyn and Leslie, for your presentations. Go into the regular calendar. So Amy, what's up next?
Regular calendar, number 16, the subject is authorization to approve increased budget for fiscal year 2021 for maintenance of the Stock Ranch Landscape Assessment District 0301, Zone 1. The recommendation is to approve a resolution approving the budget increase for Landscape Maintenance Assessment District 0301.
Good evening, Council. This is Regina Cave, General Services Department. The item before you this evening comes upon a request from the Sunrise Recreation and Park District. As you know, over the last year or so, the Park District has increased their efforts in dealing with a lot of the blight and overgrowth in the open space of the Stock Ranch Commercial Zone. The Stock Ranch Commercial Zone 0301 encompasses the area from Auburn Boulevard adjacent to Costco and Walmart and extends to just north of Stock Ranch. And so as part of their efforts in wanting to increase, again, additional labor and put more efforts forth over the next year, the next fiscal year, they have requested an increase in their budget from what was approved for the 1920-2021 budget, the two-year budget model. So before you is an increase of $245,154, which also includes additional funds for city staff and contractors to address the contracts that we manage for the area, such as the landscaping adjacent to Auburn Boulevard and some improvements that we need to do to the nature preserve area. So staff's recommendation is for council to approve the attached resolution, which approves a budget increase for the Stock Ranch Landscape Maintenance Assessment District 0301 Zone 1 for fiscal year 2020-2021. And this would not have a fiscal impact to the general fund. This would come from the Landscape Assessment District's existing surplus.
Great. Thank you, Regina. Any questions of council for Regina?
I do, yeah. Just to be clear, I think you answered it, but the money's already there. It's in a bank, basically. It's in a reserve. And so we're saying no additional funds will need to come from those within that district or the general fund. Am I correct?
That is correct. There is a surplus, and historically, we have not expended the annual assessments that come in, and every year, staff allocate a certain amount of the funds to reserve for operations maintenance as well as a facility replacement. So these funds would come from the operating budget.
And does this look like a one-time thing on this, for this deal, or an ongoing increase?
As it has been proposed, this is just for this year to this extent for 2020, 2021, and staff will be working closely with the Sunrise Recreation and Park District come mid-year, so that would be December, January, to determine what would be needed for the next 2 years when we approach council with the budget in the springtime.
Thank you very much.
Does this wipe out the reserve?
It does
Or do
not
we-
wipe out the reserve.
Okay, because we still have money for bridge replacement and such.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I had questions on it earlier in the day and spoke with both the city manager and with Regina. And so the reserve has $1 million in it. And so this only takes out 25% of it, but it also replenishes itself every year to the tune of about $84,000, Regina?
Every year is $88,000 that comes in assessments.
Yeah, so this is, I was concerned too, but this is a one-time allocation to basically clean up the natural preserve and some of the other issues that we do as a city. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no additional questions or concerns, what's the pleasure?
I'll move approval.
Well,
Second.
Okay, Daniel's motion, I think it was Bruins. I definitely heard Miller. Either one of you. Take your pick, Amy. Second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Aye.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, please, Amy.
Next item is regular calendar, item 17. It's the second reading of the transactions and use tax, sales tax ordinance to be submitted to voters at the November 3rd, 2020 election. And the recommendation is to adopt the ordinance adding Article 6 to Chapter 86 of the Citrus Heights Municipal Code upon being voted upon at the November 3rd, 2020 election.
Great, thank you, Amy. Mr. Boyd, I believe you're up.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. On July 23rd of 2020, the City Council introduced and read by title only and waived the first full reading of an ordinance adding Article 6, which is the transactions and use tax, to Chapter 86, the Citrus Heights Municipal Code. The City Council did not make any amendments to the proposed ordinance at the first reading. The ordinance will not take effect until a majority of the voters voting at the general municipal election on November 3rd, 2020 has approved it. So therefore, the staff recommends the council adopt ordinance number 2020-006, an ordinance of the City Council and the people of the City of Citrus Heights, California, adding Article 6 to Chapter 86 of the Municipal Code. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Boyd. Now, I know we have received some written comments, and then we'll look to see if there's any on the Zoom meeting. Any council members have any questions? Again, this is really the second reading of the discussion we had the last council meeting. All right, so Amy?
Do you want me to read?
If you would, you know what, let's do this. I see two hands up. Let's go ahead. And again, folks, can't tell who put their hand up first. So we'll call on Mr. Bruce Lee first. Amy, if you could let him in. And Mr. Lee, you have 3 minutes once we tell you you're good to go. So hold on just a sec.
Okay, your mic has been unmuted, so you can begin to speak.
Welcome, Mr. I'm still showing his, maybe it's muted on your end, Bruce, but I'm showing you're muted still, Amy. Could you? We'll figure it out in a minute. Okay, now you should be ready to talk, Bruce.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Thank you, council members. I appreciate that. I'm Bruce Lee. Good evening. I'm president of the Sacramento Taxpayers Association. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share. And I hope each of you received my personal email earlier this week and had a time to review it. As I first heard about this a few days before the July 23rd meeting, and I was concerned then. And as I looked more and more into the details and the history of what was going on and become increasingly concerned, I truly believe this is a bad tax at a bad time and for bad reasons. You know, over 12% of your population lived in poverty, and that was before the pandemic and the economic meltdown. And Citrus Heights has a higher population of fixed income retirees than other communities. It's a regressive tax. And as I'm sure, if you saw my letter, other municipalities and jurisdictions, Placer County, the Sacramento County, Bay Area, et cetera, have all postponed their tax ideas. And going forward, really does cast the city as looking sort of heartless, uncaring. You know, Measure A was a half-cent 40-year tax, and that was pulled back by Sac County, the STA. Measure M is a full cent, you know, forever tax, and it's on the exact same constituents that you have. I spoke with my allies this week who had worked on Measure A with myself, including the National Action Network and the NAACP, and they agreed that it's the same principle. Measure A and Measure M, it's the same thing, and all deserves opposition for the same reasons. And I don't know if you saw in my missive, but for those that perhaps did not, you know, the president of the California the NAACP commented, says, you know, we believe that Sacramento families and local businesses cannot afford another living increase. In every area of our community, we're experiencing sudden job loss and drastic reductions of income. Placing a tax increase on the ballot would be done in bad faith with the voters and severely limit the future potential of the city. And the president of the local and California National Action Network commented, he said, you know, simply put, the tax increase on the November ballot is at odds with the mission of our organization in the best interest of our members. Should this appear on the ballot this fall, we will have no choice but to oppose it. It is clear to us that the appetite for increased local taxes is at an all-time low. And voting yes on a tax plan simply to see what will happen in November is a sad void of leadership. Postponing the measure until 2022 communicates to constituents that you're listening to them and that you really value them. And I thought those were sage comments. So I do appeal to you really to reconsider and postpone this measure. As I've researched more and more, Citrus Heights is a 2-year problem until millions of property taxes kick back into you. And I would, again, extend the offer and hope that the city would take SAC tax up on its offer to collaborate on how can we resolve this 2-year problem without establishing a forever tax. And I do believe that some members will suffer significant political consequences in their future political careers as residents have long memories of these things. I listened to a podcast recently of a political consultant 2 days ago. He says, you know, what was the key to being successful? And he says, well, you got to work with good candidates and good measures. And if you got a good candidate and a good measure, you're going to win. And then all you do is sort of sit back and tell them the obvious. Well, don't burp in public, don't put your finger up your nose and stuff like that. If the council pushes Measure M through, you're going to make the opponents to Measure M highly successful because there's so many things unfortunately wrong with this proposal. And we'd love to work with you to resolve that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and thank you for staying within the time. We have one more on the telephone. Amy, could you unmute Mr. Schaefer? Well, I'll give you a holler as soon as I see you're off mute, Tim. You're off mute, Tim, so you have 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, Mayor Slowey and the rest of the council members. I hope you're having a great evening tonight. I voiced my opinion on the 23rd of July. Since then, I've spoken with a lot of your constituents, and I have yet to find very many people that would support a tax right now. There's a lot of folks that are out of work. There is a lot of economic hurting going on, and I think this just adds insult to injury. I would plead with you, just two of you, to stop this today. Stop this tonight. Don't waste any more time on it because it's not going to pass. There's not a chance that that's going to happen. So that's all I had to say. I would plead with you to take a look at this, take a long, hard look at this. I know it's not an easy situation at all. I know there's some difficulties and some financial difficulties. If we'd have looked at this a little differently and said, hey, this is a 2-year tax, or this is a half cent, or this is a quarter cent, or something less than a full cent, a full 12 million, that essentially doubles the amount of sales tax that comes into the city. That's just outrageous, frankly. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for your time. I certainly appreciate it, but please do take my comments to heart. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. All right, I don't see any other hands raised, but I do know that we have received 7 or 8 written comments. So, Amy, turn it over to you for those. Give her a moment. She's got to share them and then read them.
So our first public comment is from Kenneth Herbert. I do not support the tax. It's taking more money out of hardworking Citrus Heights families. The money we already pay in tax should be used more wisely and appropriately. No more taxes on citizens. Use the money that's already there more efficiently. The next public comment is from Joyce McAshmus. No on any tax ballot. The next public comment is from Brittany Mascarelli. I do not support the raising of taxes here in Citrus Heights. The taxes are high enough and the money is not going to the proper places right now. We have been asking for replacement of roads, help with the homeless and trash that's collecting around the city, and so much more. The next public comment, Polly Marcroft. No new taxes, no increased taxes. Next from Tanya Elbert. I do not support any new taxes because city officials have not proven to spend taxpayers' money in the way that taxpayers want. City has chosen an overpriced city manager, new city hall, and buying properties instead of fixing roads and increasing law enforcement. They have not proven to listen to their residents in the past. Next is from Cindy Alexander, no new taxes. Next is from April Ceballos. Enough with new taxation? No. Next is Jamie Ruley. No on the increase to tax rate. Our businesses are going to lose customers to neighboring cities with a lower tax rate if this tax increase happens. And the last one is from Joseph Madrid. I do not support any tax increase.
Thank you, Amy. And again, going back out to the attendee list, I don't see anybody else with their hand raised. So that's all the public comment we will take on that. Questions from the council? If not, what's the pleasure of the council?
Couple of comments real quick. I don't know if any of our positions are going to change, so we're probably going forward. I would ask though that maybe we consider a sunset. I think it's more appropriate to have a sunset on this kind of thing. Instead of thinking that it may come back another day and be removed. So that, and then also I'm not quite clear on, and could I get a better explanation on the oversight folks, the ones that will be chosen, and how are they chosen? Who will choose them? Will it be one council member chooses a single person, each person, or how will that work?
Not sure who's, Chris, you could answer that?
Yeah, I can. I might have Brian, the city attorney, assist me if he has it in front of you. It is the city council's empowerment to be able to do that. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the council can determine those rules and process and how you go about that. So I think to answer your question, the council itself makes that determination as a body.
I'll follow up just a bit on that. It is set forth in section 86-187 of the proposed ordinance. And it does provide that the city council collaboratively determines the membership, and it would be at least 5 members of the community. They have to be residents of the city, but it does call for a further resolution to define maybe their scope and exactly what they do and how that process would work. The ordinance is meant to just set that framework to be further refined by the council. It is local members of the community chosen by the city council.
So more to come after November. If it passes, city council would set that up. All right. Thank you, Brett. What's the pleasure of the council? I will be happy to move the item, second reading of the proposed tax ordinance to place on the ballot November 3rd, known as Measure M.
Jeff, I'd second that. I'd like to make a statement if I could. I've heard concerns, and I've heard them, that adding this 1 cent sales tax will hurt the poor, especially those that have lost their jobs during this pandemic, and I'm very sensitive to that. However, this sales tax measure does not tax essential items like water, formula, diapers, groceries, utilities, or rent, or house payments. And it's not regressive like a grocery tax would be, where the poor would pay a disproportionate portion of this tax. Its purpose is to increase our disaster preparedness and emergency response times, increase our investigation and prevention programs in law enforcement, properly train and equip our officers, aggressively reduce homelessness, increase youth, senior, and veterans programs, and support our local businesses, especially those with losses due to the pandemic. And finally, with economic development, create jobs through existing new businesses and fix our roads. This will also allow us, like we did in the beginning, to put money aside each year for larger projects, like an animal shelter, and allow us to rebuild our reserve fund to protect us from future economic downturns, and especially from borrowing money in the future. So just looking at the fact that it'll take $154 million to bring our streets up to a good condition, and then probably another $17 million, and this is in today's dollars. It's only going to increase the longer we wait. And this would be $17 million for every year in perpetuity to keep our roads maintained. And this measure will only allow us to maintain the roads to their current levels. We don't have this will not raise the $154 million. So if we do not pass this, our roads will continue to degrade and be much more expensive to fix. So this is why I support the measure. I think, again, my statement holds true. We can survive the economic downturn due to the pandemic, excuse me. And I believe that with the resourcefulness of our city leaders and our city council, this isn't about the pandemic. This is about not just surviving, but Citrus Heights thriving and becoming a better community that we're all proud to live in. And if we can get to our roads, it's one of the last things that we just have not been able to do. And I think it's the most important for improving our properties, our property values, and our citizens have asked for this. So, whether it passes or not, we'll debate that over the next few months, but I support it tonight, at least putting it on the ballot.
Thank you. So we have a motion.
That was my second.
I heard that. Do you have a quick statement, Jeannie, or was that Portia?
Statement, and that is, I just made a couple notes. We're hearing some phrases that are kind of catchy, but don't really mean a lot. One is that's a forever tax. It can be reduced just the way it will have the chance to be raised by a vote of the people. Our property taxes, yes, we're getting them in a couple of years, but they're a drop in the bucket compared to what our needs are. And the comment by Mr. Lee that there's so much wrong with this, he didn't tell us what was wrong with it. He just made a very broad statement. You know, he's not a resident of Citrus Heights. This tax, if it's passed, will only be used in Citrus Heights, cannot be taken away from us by the state or by the county. This is just for our community. It's an investment in the future of our community for generations to come. And so for those reasons, I support putting it on the ballot and letting the voters make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. So we have motion, Slowey, second Miller. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bruins,
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels,
No.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Slowey.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Next item, please.
Next item is regular calendar item 18. The subject is approval of Economic Development Support Fund for agreement with Greater Sacramento Economic Council. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between Greater Sacramento Area Economic Council and the city in an amount not to exceed $35,238 for fiscal year 2021.
Good evening, Mayor Slowey and City Council. Megan Huber, Economic Development and Communications Manager. The item that is before you this evening is to continue our partnership that happens on an annual basis with Greater Sacramento Economic Council, our region's economic development organization. Their focus is on business attraction for our 6-county region, and it is so important to our growth as a community. Successful economies don't just happen, they are intentional, and Greater Sacramento Economic Council helps to set that regional economic development strategy. They are also of great value to us in our continued partnership and provide significant value. To tell you more about all of that, I would like to invite Danielle Casey, Executive Vice President for Greater Sacramento Economic Council, to tell you a little bit more about what our partnership looks like.
Had to find that magical unmute button. Good evening, Mayor Slowey, Vice Mayor Miller, members of the council. I know I'm standing between you and the rest of your evening, but I want to thank Megan for that amazing introduction. And I'll run you through a brief presentation, and I really appreciate your audience tonight and the opportunity to address you. The world has changed drastically in the last 6 months. But I would like to add that I think that makes the work of local economic developers and regional economic development groups all the more important. And I want to commend Megan and every local economic developer I've seen in the entire region, all of a sudden spending 60% of their time on the streets trying to do work to help their local businesses. And just, it's an unbelievable commitment and a public service. So it's really been amazing to see. And we've been very, very pleased to work closely with our economic development directors. In fact, at the onset of COVID and everyone working from home, we instituted weekly calls with our economic development directors, which went on for many months. And we've only just, as of July, scaled back to twice monthly. And they've been invaluable, swapping best practices and ideas, but also just keeping everybody connected and informed. Obviously, communication has changed tremendously in the way we work. Everything's a complete 180. I will say, I'd love to share with all of this again, we are actually seeing probably more activity from national site selection consultants in the last month than we've ever seen at one time over the past 2 years since I've been here. So there is tremendous activity and interest in the region. We are right now working on several very large responses. So we'll take it for what it is and be very thankful that there is still business activity and large job opportunities out there for the region. So I'm going to touch a little bit on our local community return on investment and cost benefit analysis. It's always, I tell everyone, coming from local government myself, it's always very important, I think, that we report out and offer some transparency and clarity to the communities on what you're getting for involvement with us. As Megan mentioned, being at the table and working to direct a regional strategy is critical. And again, as you know, economic development is regional. There are no companies or consultants that are locating firms that are looking within the certain boundaries of one community. They're looking at regions and markets, and their goal is to really eliminate regions and markets from consideration as opposed to including you. So you're always fighting an uphill battle or herding cats, as my family would say. But our 5-year impacts to Citrus Heights, and this is calculated through using economic impact models and also understanding that a locate in a community near you can and does have an economic impact to other communities within the region. So our your total investment over the past 5 years has been about $138,000, but the local tax revenue as a result, based on our models, is $2.3 million. And again, you see some additional figures there with a total direct and indirect job count estimate of 166. Some of the other things that we've also provided just in the last year to Citrus Heights, we're very proud of, some great opportunities. Our regional marketing impressions, and again, an unintended result of COVID is we've had tremendous press and the opportunity to really do some very creative marketing within and outside of our region to the tune of about 380 million marketing impressions. If you were paying for that, it would cost almost $7 million in ad value. We've brought in a number of project opportunities over the last year, 85 new qualified projects overall. And because Megan knows how to tap into our resources and does so, we've completed 7 different unique research requests, and I'll get into some of our research databases. 10 hours of GSEC staff time is what we're approximating. But, so what you're getting is the staff time as well as all of the databases that cost quite a bit of money that you're not having to pay for, but you're getting the benefit of. So we're very happy to be able to provide that. And then we've also been thrilled to be very involved in discussions and work related to Sunrise Mall. You've done tremendous marketing campaigns and unbelievable things are happening there. So I'm very, very optimistic for the future with the way the community is driving that project. And then, we also have impact to the state and the entire region. So these are figures that we've run, again, since the inception of GSEC. Our total economic impact to California in the work that we've done in citing and attracting and growing firms is about $7 billion. As I mentioned, the duplication of data, this is an extremely, probably unnecessarily wordy slide. So you can just pretend it's not there for a second. But what this really means is this is a big summary of all the data sets I mentioned. We subscribe to pretty expensive databases that tell us about venture capital investment. We subscribe to databases that help us vet out and research companies. We update our economic impact model every year so that we're providing you accurate data. So it goes on. And when we help Megan out with data requests, we're pulling from those best data sources. And if you add it all up and some of the staff time required to manage and understand how to use those tools, to duplicate it, it would cost you about $250,000. So we hope you feel that you're getting that value there. I wanted to touch very quickly on some of the new tools and services that we're running for next year. And I want to add that while we're doing all of the work that we're doing over the upcoming fiscal year, Megan's actually in a driver's seat for Citrus Heights. She has been elected by her nominated and elected by her peers in the community to serve as the vice chair of the Economic Development Directors Task Force with the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. And what that's going to mean as we go forward as well is she would then be the incumbent, the chair, if you will, in the next fiscal year, which also allows her a seat on our board of directors during that year of service. So even more participation and influence from a Citrus Heights perspective in being involved there. We are going to be working, and we're working on rolling out right now a comprehensive talent attraction and recovery messaging campaign. This is really exciting because as you hear, companies like Facebook and Twitter are telling employees that they can, work from home indefinitely for certain periods of time. We are doing a lot of work having conversations with these firms to find out and talk to their employees about interest in our region so that eventually we can also work on them locating smaller operational, they're calling them hub and spoke models. So picture, maybe an outpost for Facebook of 200 employees in and around our community. So we're working on that. We're also working on talent attraction because it's the thing that companies follow more than anything, right? They're going where the talent is, and that's really, even at the end of the day, more important than cost in many, many decisions. We've launched new tools. We launched Size Up. It's a small business planning tool that's on our website that we launched during COVID to offer some tools and resources for small businesses or even entrepreneurs trying to pivot. And I think 4 days or 30 days into that, it was the most visited site or the second most visited page on our site over a 6-month period. So it got tremendous traction and utility. And so we hope that that's still a benefit to the businesses in your community. And then we're going to be working on business retention and expansion programs across the region so that we can connect businesses on a B2B basis in ways that really haven't been done before. We've already had some tremendous success connecting firms, a recycling firm that's producing some really wonderful products. We've already connected them with some other companies that are very, very likely to need the components they're making because they're applicable in their certain industry. So really fun. You'll hear a lot more of that, and the economic development directors are going to be talking about that next week in our retreat. And we're also working on some digital upskilling efforts, really trying to think about our disadvantaged workforce in the community, and also people that have been whose work and employment has been disrupted by COVID, and offering new skills and opportunities for skills and learning. It's been very interesting. We've read and done a lot of research and citations that have actually denoted that the quickest way out of poverty can actually, in the current day and age, be a Salesforce certification. And then let's see, on our next, we're almost finished. Some of the other things that we're also going to continue doing, I want to make sure to assure everyone our level of service, while we are all trying to do more with less every day, is not going down in any way, shape, or form. We're going to continue to be the hub of developing value proposition data sets, performing lead generation. I'll tell you, you've all met our CEO, Barry Broom, many times, and the guy does not take his foot off the gas. So the bags under my eyes are living proof, but we're all thankful. And again, it's a very important work, and we're pleased to be doing it. We're going to maintain and expand our research tool licenses. So we're bringing on new tools to help us with business retention and expansion efforts. And we're going to continue to do site selection tours, whether we have to drive them in from hours and hours away or do virtual programs. In fact, we actually have a virtual session set up in the month of September, and we already have 2 RSVPs from national consultants who are excited to participate with us. We're going to be launching a joint webinar with JLL on manufacturing programs and data sets that will be bringing site selection consultants and also media in on. So please stay tuned for all those things. And with that, just want to let you know we're here. We're continuing to push forward. We've been having great conversations with all of the communities in the region. And our biggest question has been and continues to be, how can we continue to add value for your community? How can GSEC be there to support you, especially as all of the work that you're doing is pivoting tremendously? And my dog is enjoying her squeaky toy. So I would definitely appreciate and be happy to take any questions you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danielle. Any questions of council for Danielle or Megan?
No question, but just a real brief comment. When we first got approached by GSAC, back when Henry Kingle was still our city manager, and I learned what it was going to cost us as a city, I just kind of gulped. And I have to say that we have more than gotten our money's worth out of this, as with the various help they've given us over the years, and their expertise. We've utilized them as part of a group. We've utilized them very specifically. This money comes out of our economic development fund, so it doesn't impact the general plan or the general fund. And I'm just grateful that we have this kind of partnership with them, and thank Megan for all that she's doing on the GSAC task force, and can't wait to see you be on the board. That's exciting. So I support this, and thank you for coming out tonight and sharing with us all that is happening today. Thank you.
Do you want to move the item, Jeannie?
Sure, I'll move it. Yeah, thank you. I move the item that we approve it.
Second.
Bruins moved, Miller second. All those, sorry, we have to do a roll call. Roll call, Amy.
Councilmember Bruins?
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels?
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
And Mayor Slowey?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And I would just echo Jeannie's comments that I think we've more than gotten our return. Obviously, Danielle gave us a great presentation, but even before we've heard that, I've seen the information that we can't get on our own that would cost twice as much that we get out of GSEC, so thank you for that.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope your dog enjoys his toy. Sounds like he is. Next item, Amy.
The next item is department reports, and we have none. Next item is city manager items.
Yes, Council, I have really two announcements. One, circling back to really this heat wave that we're about to enter into. We've all seen, it looks like the forecast definitely will be serious and perhaps dangerous. So just during the council meeting, the staff's been scrambling, trying to get our cooling center staffed. So, we're going to start off at noon to 6 p.m. at our community center starting tomorrow. And we will, as I said, adjust kind of each day and look at need. And if we hear from our residents to make adjustments, we'll do that. But that seems to be standard what the other cities and county are doing as well. So we'll be nimble there. So all the communications information will go out on that, including safety tips tomorrow from our communications team. And also, the city has been recognized. We really won a really special award that I want to let you know about. But to introduce it, I wanted to say that this really has to do with our communications team. And as you know, first we brought on Megan Huber, who's now both our economic development and communications manager. And then right after that, we brought on Nicole Baxter as our communications officer. And their work, as we've all seen, has been tremendous. We really took an area, of city communications that was, needed improvement for many, many years. And we made the commitment to really make it the best. And by bringing these two professionals on board, it's been all of that and then some. I would argue we have really the best city communications program around and beyond. And we've seen that in results with our communications with our public, our constituents, many, many times. And I just can't really thank them enough for the great work and the hard work that they put in every day to make that happen. And it happened quickly. To get to this really #1 level. And on some stories, we're also the #1 news source in Citrus Heights over any media publication. People come to us, and that's thanks to them. But this award, to really illustrate as an example, it's called the Capio Award. So our city's been recognized by the California Association of Public Information Officials, which is the leading statewide organization dedicated to advancing communicators across all levels of government. So the city's communication team has won what they call an EPIC Award, which is the organization's highest honor for our Best Lights in Citrus Heights competition, if you remember that. Past winners in the category of recurring special events include the cities of San Francisco and San Diego. So Citrus Heights is in great company. With the onboarding of our communications officer, the team wanted to hit the ground running with a strategic but fun resident engagement campaign that complemented the holiday season and tapped into our city's history of being home to residential light displays that draw crowds from throughout the Sacramento region. So the team, again, made up of Megan and Nicole, and then Haley Reed, our management analyst in that division, launched our first ever citywide holiday lights competition. So the campaign brought together all City Hall employees through fun Candy Graham nomination cards and neighbors, and exceeded really all expectations. So we look forward to making this particular event a tradition for our community. So huge award, big congratulations to them and to our whole city. It's very well done. Thank you.
Great. Congratulations to all those involved. What's the Capio look like? Is it Or is it a
Megan,
plaque?
can you describe it, or do you have it sitting in your office there by any chance?
I don't. It's just outside my office, but I can tell you it's really good looking.
Okay. And yeah, I wouldn't expect you to say anything else, so thank you for that. All right. Next item, Amy.
The last item is items requested by council members or any future agenda items.
All right, not seeing anything. Again, folks, you know.
Mayor,
Yep.
can you hear me?
Miller?
Real quick, I couldn't let this moment go by. I want to congratulate Councilmember Daniels. I believe this is one for the record books. I don't think a city council member has ever attended a meeting in a car. And so
That's
this is one for the record books.
That's
Not
probably
easy
true.
while I'm driving too, so.
I know.
And it's a rental to boot.
At least you're doing hands-free.
Definitely.
All right. So again, you know, at one point, a month or so ago, I said that we were going to try to open up our meetings. Obviously, we haven't got to that point and don't know when we are. Probably a month or two at minimum off, but we want to stay safe. You know, fortunately, we have this technology, while it's not perfect. We want to protect the staff and visitors to the place. So more to come.